Okay, there you are again. Let's try this again. Okay, here it is. Apparently you've got to, do your share screen right before you launch the Zoom. Otherwise it doesn't remember anything. So we're on text 23. You can go ahead and read text 23 and I'll read 24. Oh, wait. Wait a minute. I want to read text 25, so I'll read this one and you read the next one.
Okay.
Because I've got something to say about text 25. I was just reading something about that verse in the book that I'm reading now. So text 23, Antavat tufalam tesham tadvavatyapa alpamedasam devan deva yajo yanti madbhakta yanti mam api. Antavatu, limited and temporary phalam, fruits, tesham there, tat that bhavati becomes alpamedasam, of those of small intelligence, devan, demigods, planets, devayaja, worshippers of demigods, yanti achieve mat, my bhakta devotees, yanti attain ma unto me, api surely. Translation, men of small intelligence worship the demigods and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Purport. Some commentators on the Gita say that one who worships a demigod can reach the Supreme Lord, but here it is clearly stated that the worshippers of demigods go to different planetary systems where various demigods are situated, just as a worshiper of the sun achieves the sun, or a worshiper of the demigod of the moon achieves the moon. Similarly, if anyone wants to worship a demigod like Indra, he can attain that particular god's planet. It is not that everyone, regardless of what demigod is worshipped, will reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is denied here, for it is clearly stated that the worshippers of demigods go to different planets in the material world, but the devotees of the Supreme Lord go directly to the Supreme Planet of the Personality of Godhead. That's one thing I had to disagree with the Pope on. The Pope said that even if you're a nice person, then you can go to God, No, it's not that every single path or everybody, just because you're nice, goes back to Godhead. You got to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead if you want to go there. Okay, so text 24.
Okay. Avyaktam yaktim apanam manyate mam abudya param bhavam ajanato mamam manam. I'm sorry, the print's really small. Mamam avyayam anuttamam. Synonyms: avyaktam, non-manifested; vyaktim, personality; apanam, achieved; manyate, think; mam, unto me; abudya, less intelligent persons; param, supreme; bhavam, state of being; ajanata, without knowing; mama, my; avyayam, imperishable; anuttamam, the finest. Translation: unintelligent men who know me not think that I have assumed this form and personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is changeless and supreme. Purport. Those who are worshippers of demigods have been described as less intelligent persons, and here the impersonalists are similarly described. Lord Krishna in his personal form is here speaking before Arjuna, and still, due to ignorance, impersonalists argue that the Supreme Lord ultimately has no form. The Munacharya, a great devotee of the Lord in the disciplic succession from Ramanujacharya, has written two very appropriate verses in this connection. He says, "My dear Lord, devotees like Vyasadeva and Narada know you to be the personality of Godhead. By understanding different Vedic literatures, one can come to know your characteristics, your form, and your activities, and one can thus understand that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But those who are in the modes of passion and ignorance, the demons, the non-devotees, cannot understand you. They are unable to understand you. However expert such non-devotees may be in discussing Vedanta in the Upanishads and other Vedic literatures, it is not possible for them to understand the personality of Godhead. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the personality of Godhead cannot be understood simply by study of the Vedanta literature. Only by the mercy of the Supreme Lord can the personality of the Supreme be known. Therefore, in this verse, it is clearly stated that not only the worshippers of the demigods are less intelligent, but those devotees who are engaged in Vedanta and speculation on Vedic literature without any tinge of true Krishna consciousness are also less intelligent, and for them it is not possible to understand God's personal nature. Persons who are under the impression that the absolute truth is impersonal are described as asuras, which means one who does not know the ultimate feature of the absolute truth. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that the supreme realization begins from the impersonal Brahman and then rises to the localized supersoul. But the ultimate word in the absolute truth is the personality of Godhead. Modern impersonalists are still less intelligent, for they do not even follow their great predecessor, Shankaracharya, who has specifically stated that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Impersonalists, therefore, not knowing the supreme truth, think Krishna to be only the son of Devaki and Vasudeva, or a prince or a powerful living entity. This is also condemned in Bhagavad-gītā. Only the fools regard me as an ordinary person. The fact is that no one can understand Krishna without rendering devotional service and without developing Krishna consciousness. The Gita confirms this. One cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, or his form, quality, or name, simply by mental speculation or by discussing Vedic literature. One must understand him by devotional service. When one is fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, beginning by chanting the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, then only can one understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Non-devotee impersonalists think that Krishna has a body made of this material nature, and that all his activities, his form, and everything are Maya. These impersonalists are known as Mayavadi. They do not know the ultimate truth. The 20th verse clearly states, those who are blinded by lusty desires surrender unto the different demigods. It is accepted that besides the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are demigods who have their different planets, and the Lord also has a planet. It is also stated that the worshippers of the demigods go to the different planets of the demigods, and those who are devotees of Lord Krishna go to the Krishna-lok planets. Although this is clearly stated, the foolish impersonalists still maintain that the Lord is formless, and that these forms are impositions. From the study of the Gita, does it appear that the demigods and their abodes are impersonal? Clearly, neither the demigods nor Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are impersonal. They are all persons. Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he has his own planet, and the demigods have theirs. Therefore, the monistic contention that ultimate truth is formless and that form is imposed does not hold true. It is clearly stated here that it is not imposed. From the Gita, we can clearly understand that the forms of the demigods and the form of the Supreme Lord are simultaneously existing, and that Lord Krishna is such Chit Ananda, eternal blissful knowledge. The Vedas also confirm that the supreme absolute truth is Anandamaya, or full of blissful pleasure, and that he is Abhyasa, by nature the reservoir of unlimited auspicious qualities. And in the Gita, the Lord says that although he is Aja, unborn, he still appears. These are the facts that we should understand from the Gita. We cannot understand and how the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be impersonal. The imposition theory of the impersonalist monist is false as far as the statements of the Gita are concerned. It is clear herein that the Supreme Absolute Truth, Lord Krishna, has both form and personality.
Okay, this actually we'll just take turns with it. I was thinking of text 25. We'll take turns reading the paragraphs here because this is kind of a long purport. I'll read the verse and then you can read the first purport paragraph. Avyaktam vyaktin apanam manyate mam abhudaya parambhavam ajananto mama vyayam unutamam. Synonyms: avyaktam, non-manifested; vyaktam, personality; apanam, retrieved; manyate, think; mam, unto me; abhudaya, less intelligent persons; param, supreme; bhavam, state of being; ajanata, without knowing; mama, my; avyayam, imperishable, anuttamam, the finest. Translation: unintelligent men who know me not think that I have assumed this form and personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is changeless and supreme.
Purport. Those who are worshippers of demigods have been described as less intelligent persons, and here the impersonalists are similarly described. Lord Krishna in his personal form is here speaking before Arjuna, and still, due to ignorance, impersonalists argue that the Supreme Lord ultimately has no form. Yamunacharya, a great devotee of the Lord in the disciplic succession from Ramanujacharya, has written 2 very appropriate verses in this connection. We read this.
What's this? You read this?
This is the one I just read.
Oh, no. Oh, what the hell? See, when I click it, it doesn't go ahead. Let's see here. I think I'm not on the... maybe we'll just start doing the verse at a time here. Okay, this is... Yeah, I thought text 24 looked familiar. So I'm just going to say something about text 25 here, because I thought I started out with then I would end up with this one. So text 25, this is referenced by a book that I'm reading called Chaitanya Bhagavat. It was written by Vrindavan Das Thakur. It's the life biography of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in that book, in I think the 14th chapter, there was a description of how the Lord went to East Bengal, and he left his first wife, Lakshmi Priya, at home with his mother. And while he was in Bengal, he was a householder, of course, he's married. And he was there just to collect some money and, speak with the people of East Bengal and gather some students. He was a scholar at that time. He didn't manifest his pure, his full devotional propensities. But anyway, while he was away, his wife died of separation. She couldn't stand to be without him anymore. And she just left her body. And so Bhaktisiddhanta in the purport to, I think, text 104, he gives a 14-page purport. Now, this is not like a page of a book. This is a page of 8.5 by 11, single-spaced. It took almost an hour to read this purport. But he talks about how a personality of Godhead or his expansions, like Lakshmi Priya's internal potency, don't really leave their body like an ordinary person. If you understand how the Supreme Lord appears and disappears, then you can actually become liberated. So it's pretty important to know exactly how that happens. And he was saying how Lakshmi Priya and Krishna himself, when the Yadavas were fighting and they were about to leave this world at the end of his pastimes, they were fighting on the bank in Prabhash, and they got drunk and they were fighting with each other. This is all Krishna's potency. And then Krishna left as well, but he left a material body. And Lakshmi Priya also left a material body. But you know what that is? That's just an illusion. It's just left by the Supreme Lord to bewilder the atheists. And it's like a magician, a magician like saws himself in half, and he's not really dead. He's living, but it's just it's a fake thing. And so you can't really understand this with your own eyes, And there was a great logician that Bhaktisiddhanta quoted, who was, I think, from the Madhva Sampradaya. And he talks about the difference between, trusting your own eyes and then trusting your eyes based on, combined with Vedic knowledge. The real process for understanding knowledge is a descending process. And so he gives this example. This is from that logician. His name is Sri Vidarbha Swami. If one sees sandalwood with his eyes and then knowledge about this fragrance of that sandalwood is obtained. In this process, the eyes take help from the nose. Otherwise, if one had not previously smelled the fragrance of sandalwood, he would not obtain knowledge of its fragrance by seeing it with his eyes. Similarly, other evidence takes help from the Vedas to establish the meaning of knowledge required by hearing. Because the evidence of the Vedas is prominent in realization of transcendental subject matters, other evidences like pratyaksha, direct perception, and anuman, hypothesis, which are dependent on the Vedas, are unable to serve the purpose of understanding transcendental matters due to their conflicting nature. Therefore, in considering the absolute truth, the faulty division of ignorant people cannot be considered evidence. So, as far as the absolute truth is concerned, you can't trust anybody what anybody says they've seen with their own eyes, with empirical knowledge, because the absolute truth is not available by empirical vision or faulty senses. And Bhaktisiddhanta says if you want to go further in this, then you should read text 25 of chapter 7, which is this verse here. And we'll take turns reading it. I'll read the text in the first paragraph. Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samanvrita mudayam nabijananti lokamam ajamaviyam. Synonyms: na, nor aham, I, prakasha, manifest, sarvasya, to everyone, yogamaya, internal potency, samavrita, covered, muda, foolish, I am this, na, not, abhijananti, can understand, loka, such less intelligent persons, mam, me, ajam, unborn, aviyam, inexhaustible. Translation: I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I'm covered by my eternal creative potency, yogamaya, and so the deluded world knows me not, who am unborn and infallible. That's what I meant by when I created my own analogy, or my own analogy about the secret club that the devotees are in. They can't, non-devotees can't even understand who is a devotee. What to speak of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is invisible to their eyes. Krishna was visible, but not everybody knew him, Everybody saw him differently according to their mentality. But so I'll just read the first paragraph here. It may be argued that since Krishna was present on this earth and was visible to everyone, then why isn't he manifest to everyone now? But actually, he was not manifest to everyone. When Krishna was present there, only a few people could understand him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the assembly of Kurus, when Shishupal spoke against Krishna being elected president of the assembly, Bhishma supported him and proclaimed him to be the supreme God. Similarly, the Pandavas and a few others knew that he was the supreme, but not everyone. He was not revealed to the non-devotees and the common man. Therefore, in the Gita, Krishna says that but for his pure devotees, all men consider him to be like themselves. He was manifest only to his devotees as the reservoir of all pleasure, but to others, to unintelligent non-devotees, he was covered by his external or eternal potency. Go ahead and read the second one.
In the prayers of Kunti in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.18, it is said that the Lord is covered by the curtain of Yogamaya, and thus ordinary people cannot understand him. Kunti prays, O my Lord, you are the maintainer of the entire universe, and devotional service to you is the highest religious principle. Therefore, I pray that you also maintain me. Your transcendental form is covered by the Yogamaya. The Brahma Jyoti is the covering of the internal potency. May you kindly remove this glowing effulgence that impedes my seeing your Satchidananda Vigraha, your eternal form of bliss and knowledge.
You can read the last one too.
The Yogamaya curtain is also mentioned in the 15th chapter of the Gita. The Supreme Personality of Godhead in his transcendental form of bliss and knowledge is covered by the eternal potency of the Brahma Jyoti, and the less intelligent impersonalist cannot see the Supreme on this account. Also, in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.7, there is this prayer by Brahma. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O Supersoul, O Master of all mystery, who can calculate your potency and pastimes in this world? You are always expanding your eternal potency, and therefore, no one can understand you. Learned scientists and learned scholars can examine the atomic constitution of the material world or even the planets, but still, they are unable to calculate your energy and potency, although you are present before them. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is not only unborn, but he is avalya, inexhaustible. His eternal form is bliss and knowledge, and his energies are all inexhaustible.
Now, he actually cited two verses, 25 and 26, so this one has a lot to do with that concept as well. Vedaham samatitani vartmanani charjana bhavishyanti chabutani mam tu veda na kaschana. Veda, no, aham, I, sama, equally, atitani, past, vartmanani, present, cha, and Arjuna, O Arjuna, bhavishyani, future, cha, also, bhutani, living entities, mam, me, too, na, Veda, knows, na, not, kaschana, anyone. Translation, O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening at the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me, no one knows. Purport. Here, the question of personality and impersonality is clearly stated. If Krishna, the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is considered by the impersonalist to be Maya, to be material, then he would, like the living entity, change his body and forget everything of his past life. Anyone with a material body cannot remember this past life, nor can he foretell his future life, nor can he predict the outcome of his present life. Therefore, he cannot know what is happening in past, present, and future. Unless one is liberated from material contamination, he cannot know past, present, and future. You'll go ahead and read the last paragraph.
Unlike the ordinary human being, Lord Krishna clearly says that he completely knows what happened in the past, what is happening in the present, and what will happen in the future. In the 4th chapter, we have seen that Lord Krishna remembers instructing Vivishvan, the sun god, millions of years ago. Krishna knows every living entity because he is situated in every living being's heart as the Supreme Soul. But despite his presence in every living entity as Supersoul, and his presence beyond the material sky as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the less intelligent cannot realize him as the Supreme Person. Certainly, the transcendental body of Sri Krishna is not perishable. He is just like the sun, and Maya is like the cloud. In the material world, we can see that there is the sun and that there are clouds and different stars and planets. The clouds may cover all these in the sky temporarily, but this covering is only apparent to our limited vision. The sun, moon, and stars are not actually covered. Similarly, Maya cannot cover the Supreme Lord. By his internal potency, he is not manifest to the less intelligent class of men. As it is stated in the 3rd verse of this chapter, out of millions and millions of men, some try to become perfect in this human form of life, and out of thousands and thousands of such perfected men, hardly one can understand what Lord Krishna is. Even if one is perfected by realization of impersonal Brahman or a localized Paramatma, he cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, without being in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, you can't understand Krishna. Even Lord Brahma can't understand Krishna. He can't. We were talking about that last. What was it? Friday. Text 27. Icha dvesa samutena dvanda mohena bharata sarvabhutani samaham sargayanti parantapa. Synonyms: Icha, desire; dvesha, hate; samutena, born; dvandva, quality; mohena, overcome; bharat, O sign of Bharat; sarva, all; bhutani, living entities; samaham, into delusion; sarga, in creation; yanti, go; parantapa, O conqueror of enemies. Translation: O sign of Bharat, Arjuna, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, overcome by the dualities of desire and hate. Purport: the real constitutional position of the living entity is that of subordination to the Supreme Lord, who is pure knowledge. When one is deluded into separation from this pure knowledge, he becomes controlled by illusory energy and cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The illusory energy is manifested in the duality of desire and hate. Due to desire and hate, the ignorant person wants to become one with the Supreme Lord and envies Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not only do they envy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they envy other people and they envy their own souls, because everybody else and their own soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pure devotees who are not so deluded or contaminated by desire and hate can understand that Lord Sri Krishna appears by his internal potencies, but those who are deluded by duality and nescience and think that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is created by material energies. This is their misfortune. Such deluded persons symptomatically dwell in dualities of dishonor and honor, misery and happiness, man and woman, good and bad, pleasure and pain, etc., thinking that this is my wife, this is my house, I am the master of this house, I am the husband of this wife. These are the dualities of delusion. But those who are so deluded by dualities are completely foolish and therefore cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You ever hear that Talking Head song?
Yeah.
Like, you remember that one?
My beautiful house. Is
Hold
this my
on.
beautiful car? Like that one.
I can't hear you.
Is that the one?